friends, welcome back to Black Book Stacks. I am your host, Hoshonda Sanders, and it has been a minute, but I am back with a review. Probably one of the most brand appropriate books that I could pick to read and talk about is Read Until You Understand: The Profound Wisdom of Black Life and Literature by Farah Jasmine Griffin. So, I don't remember how I found out about this book. I think I heard about it before it came out. It came out last year? No. What is time? It came out in 2021, which explains a lot about why I didn't pay any attention to it. But I am a fan of Dr. Griffin, and she is a professor at Columbia. I just did not know very much about her. And so, of course, a book about reading Black literature and how, in its profundity, was going to get my attention. It just took a little time. So the book is actually sort of a memoir. It's a combination of scholarship and essays about her life. The title comes from essentially her father's description to her, or advice to her about reading until she understood Black literature in particular. As she talks about reading Toni Morrison, some of my favorites, Sula in particular, and the way that it helped her to augment the advice that she got from her mom and her aunties. She talks about mercy. Of course, that's a theme in Toni Morrison's work, but also in other literature, what it looks like, how it shows up. The same thing is true when she talks about text, rhetoric as text, which I love as someone who writes speeches, talking about Barack Obama and some of his famous speeches on race in particular. There's also parts of it that are about justice and about love and cultivating beauty and flowers. It's just so rich. I wasn't really expecting that. I'm not saying that I expected anything else, but it was really valuable to read her talking about a Black girl's journey, like a Black girl who reads and loves literature, seeing herself in literature, and how formative that can be and is, especially for writers, but also for just readers who appreciate great history. And she reaches back through time for examples of that in people like Phillis Wheatley and Frederick Douglass. She quotes one of my favorite novels, also happens to be by Toni Morrison. I think you're sensing a theme, but Song of Solomon. And she just sort of uses examples throughout Black literature, like in Maud Martha by Gwendolyn Brooks, to make the point that Black writers, and specifically Black women writers, have not necessarily just operated in terms of creating craft or operating in craft and operating in a tradition, but also in providing these kinds of emotional recovery type feelings and emotions and effects through creating just a different context for how we might think of something, or how we might think about the events of a life. There's a quote in the chapter about mercy early in the book that says, "To write is to take control, to reclaim one's reality. The compulsion to write is a strong one. Might it also be an act of one's will to be free?" All about that. There is also a chapter on Black freedom that follows the ideals of America, the quest for justice, rage and resistance. That's, I think, a chapter that's really about John Brown. There is also a chapter on death. I think I did not spend that much time with that one, although I think it also touches on not just poets like Langston Hughes, but also folks like Jessamine Ward, who has, obviously been very skilled at making the connections between her personal family history in Mississippi and the grim realities of death and dying young, especially for Black men who are targeted. But I think Dr. Griffin does a great job of offering to the culture a reminder that for Black people, death is not the final say, right? That there is a legacy, that there are ancestral beliefs and spiritual beliefs that help us to further cope with early instances of death in ways that are comforting, and maybe not everyone shares, obviously, because we're not a monolith, but also help us to make sense of the injustices of early mortality, of the ways that racism perpetuates that, and all of that. So it is very deep and layered and complex. There is an extensive bibliography that I am probably gonna spend more time digging into once I get through my own TBR list, but I did want to just recommend it. So look at this beautiful cover. Read until you understand the profound wisdom of Black life and literature. It was a wonderful cultural analysis. It helped me to name some things, particularly in terms of, as Mother's Day approaches. I wrote a little bit about this on Medium and on Substack, and I'll put those links in the description box below so you can see them. But it was just really moving for me to see kind of a part of my experience named in the book. I'm gonna find the quote here. She also led me to Christina Sharpe, whose newest book, Ordinary Notes, I just got in the mail as part of my spontaneous I can't help myself from buying books book haul. So more to come on that. But she's talking about, that's my dog saying hi. She's talking about Morrison and says, Morrison's novel and then works by other Black women provided other female voices of authority, in addition to my mother's and my aunts, about what my life could become. My mother may have carved the path, laden with beauty and strict codes of behavior, but those works by Black women writers established the destination. I'm gonna take Bendito's barking as a sign that I should end this right now. But thank you so much for your likes, shares, and subscribes. I appreciate them very much. Thank you for your support of the channel. Please also follow me on Substack. I'm more active there now. There are all kinds of fancy features. I'm not on Twitter anymore, so that helps out. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks. Bye.